Hello everyone! In this tutorial we'll learn how to design the interior of a book using Microsoft Word. More precisely, we'll see how to choose the size of the book, set the margins, headers, add different sections, work with styles and much more. So open your Word and create a new blank document. Now let's add some dummy text, and for that open your favorite browser, in my case Google Chrome, and go to lipsum.com. We want 50 paragraphs and click on Generate. To select all the generated text, start by selecting some text with the mouse, then scroll all the way to the bottom. Now press and hold down the Shift key and click somewhere at the end of the text. Without releasing the Shift key, use your left and right arrows on your keyboard to adjust the selection. Once you have the text selected, either hit Ctrl+C or right-click and copy it. We can close the browser window now because the text is already copied to clipboard. Back to our document, right-click and from the Paste options, choose Keep Text Only. If you still see these little Ctrl Paste options floating around, just hit the Escape key. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can clearly see our pages. For that, press and hold the Ctrl key and use the mouse scroll to zoom out. The text we copied from that site unfortunately contains empty lines between paragraphs. Something that shouldn't happen when we write a book, so we will delete all those lines. Go to the beginning of each line and press the delete key once. Now let's add what is missing to this document to make it look like a book. Once it looks like a book, we can start customizing it. So the first thing to add is a title. Click somewhere on the first page and zoom in. Scroll to the top. Go to the beginning and hit enter. On the first line, let's add a dummy title. While your cursor is still on the first line, go to the Home tab and choose the title style. Don't worry about how it looks right now, we'll get to the design part right away. For now, we are just telling Word that this line is a title, so we don't have to come back later and do this. A subtitle would also look nice, so let's add one now. And let Word know here is a subtitle. Now, for the purpose of this tutorial, our book will be composed of chapters and subchapters. So let's add some chapters first from place to place. Chapter 1, Heading 1, few subchapters now with the style Heading 2. We'll use the first words at the beginning of the paragraph to make things easier. Now our document has the main elements of a book, but before we start customizing the way it looks, there is one important thing to do which will help us along the way. Section breaks. We use them to divide our document, to separate different parts or sections of the book. In our case, we may want to separate the title page from the table of contents page and from the chapters. This separation allows us to format each section without affecting the other sections. We can have sections with different orientations, portrait or landscape, different number of columns, different headers, margins, and so on. To add a section break, place the cursor at the beginning of the line where you want the new section to begin. We want one section break here on the first line. Go to the Layout tab, Breaks, Section Breaks, Next Page. Actually, let's show the hidden marks that Word inserts in our document so you can better understand what's happening. Go to Home tab and click on this little Velcro button. Now we can see all these hidden symbols that mark the start of a paragraph, but we can also see where Word placed our section break. Let's insert now breaks before each chapter. So go to the line containing the chapter 1, move to the beginning, Layout, Breaks, Next Page. Repeat that for the other two chapters. Now it might be a good time to add the table of contents since we have defined our chapters and subchapters. Place the cursor at the beginning of the line containing chapter 1. Go to References tab, click on Table of Contents, and we'll choose Automatic Table 2. Let's separate the table of contents from the first chapter by adding a new section break. Again, place the cursor at the beginning of the line containing chapter 1. Go to Layout, Breaks, Next Page. Maybe we should also add the copyright and half title pages now. Let this be the copyright page. Make it normal. And before it, add another section break which will create another page to use as the half title page. Because we want our table of contents to be on an odd page, let's add a section break in front of it. And here on the title page, we can add the author. Depending on your book, you may have other pages like dedication, acknowledgements, and so on. It's important that now you know how to add all the pages you need. Now let's set the book layout, size, margins, etc. So go to the Layout tab. Under Page Setup, click on Size. Here you have a list of predefined sizes, but if you can't find what you want, click on More Paper Sizes. For this tutorial, we'll go with 6 by 9 inches. See how the paper size is automatically set to custom size. The rest of the settings on this page can stay the same. Just make sure the Apply to Whole document is selected. Now let's move to the Margins tab. Because 6 by 9 inches is a small book, we want small margins too, so let's use something like 0.5 inches for top and bottom and 0.75 for the left and right margins. Keep everything else as default, portrait orientation, and apply to whole document. And the last tab we visit on this window is the Layout tab. Here, we probably want the headers on the odd pages to look a little different from the headers on the even pages. One reason for this may be because it is better to show the page numbers aligned to the left on odd pages and aligned to the right on even pages. But if you plan to show all page numbers on the center, you don't really need to check this. We most likely want the first page to have a different header, like not showing the page number, for example. So let's check this too. Because we have a small top and bottom margin, we should also decrease these values here. This is the vertical space between the edge of the book and our header or footer text. For now, let's try 0.25. We can always revisit this window and change any setting if at some point we decide to. But for now, let's go with these settings. Apply to whole document is checked and we're ready to click OK. Now for the headers, we want to display headers only on the chapter sections. So let's start editing them. Double click somewhere at the top of the first page from chapter 1. This tells Word we want to switch to header and footer editing. We can see that on every page there are these gray rectangles which tell us two things. One is the page type, first, odd or even, and the other is whether or not the header on this page should be the same as the header on the previous page. Just to see what happens, let's write something on each one of these three types of pages. So on the first page header type, let's write first page. On the odd page header, let's write odd page. And on the even page header, even page. Now click close header and footer. And we can see that first page text always appears on the header of the first page in each section. For these first 5 sections and for every chapter. Odd page appears on every odd page from each section. And same for even page. And this is almost exactly what we want. Let's remove the text from every first page. Double click again at the top of a first page. Delete the text and close the header. Now the only headers we see are on the odd and even pages. One more thing to do here is break the link between headers here at the first chapter. Double click on top to switch to headers and footers editing. Click on link to previous to deselect it and close. By breaking this link, we make sure nothing we change in the chapter headers will ever affect the headers at the beginning of the book. And now we can add some useful information to the odd and even page headers. So double click on an odd page header, delete the current text, go to Insert tab, click on Quick Parts and choose Field. From the list of field names, select Page and click on the first format, 1, 2, 3. Now click on OK. Let's align this to the right. Now place the cursor on the next page header, which is an even page. Delete the text and do the same. Quick Parts, Field, Page, 1, 2, 3, OK. We can also add other information to these headers. Let's add the name of the current chapter on the even pages and the name of the current subchapter on the odd pages. So we are already here on an even page. Add a space after the page number. Add a vertical bar, another space. And now for the name of the chapter, go to Quick Parts, Field, Style Ref, and choose Heading 1, the heading we use for our chapters. OK. For the odd page, add a space in front of the page number, a bar, and another space in front of everything. place the cursor in front of everything, go to Quick Parts, Field, Style Ref, Heading True, and OK. Hit the Escape key to exit the header and footer editing mode and check what we've done so far. Go to Home and hide the marks. Now let's browse through the book. So the headers start from the second page of the first chapter, which is OK. I think we should move the first chapter on an odd page. So add another section break before it. Maybe the same for chapter 2. And chapter 3. Now that we have defined the layout and the content of our book, it's time to customize its look. And we can start with the title. So go to the Home tab, place the cursor on the title line, right-click on the title style, and click on Modify. Align center, format font, let's choose small caps, and OK. Format border, make it thicker, add below, OK. Format paragraph spacing, before 100, after 70. For the subtitle, place the cursor on the subtitle line, right-click on the subtitle style, modify, align center, font size 20. OK. Let's also customize the author a little. Add some space before it. Align the copyright and table of contents to center. And let's customize the text now. We want it justified. Format, paragraph, and let's indent the first line by 0.25 inches. And that's it. OK. OK. For heading 1, make it black, centered, and bold. Maybe a little bigger. Format paragraph, space before 200 and 25 after. For heading 2, black, centered, and bold. 16 font size. Format paragraph, space before 25 and maybe 10 after. Feel free to play with all these values and settings until you are happy with the result. Now one last thing, just to show you how easy it is to add another section, this time at the end of the book. So we go at the end, hit enter. Here we want to add, for example, author biography. Let's also copy some dummy text for this section. So we add a section break here. We mark this with heading 1 and update the table of contents to reflect the changes. Click somewhere inside it, click Update Table and choose Entire Table. OK. Now the biography is at the end. I hope this tutorial helps you. I look forward to any feedback in comments and thank you for watching.